Kang Su wiped the sweat from his forehead as he watched the massive drilling machine bite deeper into the planet's crust. The machine had been working for 3 days straight, cutting through rock and metal deposits 15 kilometers below the surface of Kethvar. As the mining supervisor for this sector, Kang Su had seen many strange things buried in alien worlds, but today felt different. The drill suddenly stopped with a loud grinding sound. Warning lights flashed red across the control panel. Kang Su rushed to check the readings. The drill had hit something solid, something that would not break. "What is it?" asked his assistant, a young Valthan named Ziltar. The tall, crystal-skinned alien peered over Kang Su's shoulder at the display screen. "I don't know," Kang Su replied. "The drill says it hit metal, but the readings are strange. This metal is not like anything in our database." Above them, High Researcher Velthak received the emergency report in his laboratory. The Valthan scientist had spent 40 years studying the rocks and minerals of conquered worlds. When he saw the scan results from the drilling site, his crystalline features darkened with worry. "Send a full research team to the site immediately," Velthak ordered his assistants. "And contact the orbital station. We may need military support." 6 hours later, Velthak stood at the edge of a massive excavation pit. His team had used heavy equipment to clear away tons of rock and dirt. What they found made no sense. A smooth, dark surface stretched as far as their lights could reach. The metal was unlike anything they had ever seen. It seemed to absorb light, making it difficult to study. "The structure extends in all directions," reported Dr. Yim Kai, Velthak's chief assistant. "Our scans show it continues for at least 20 kilometers in length and 5 kilometers in width." "Impossible," Velthak whispered. "Nothing that large could be buried so deep." The research team set up a temporary camp around the excavation site. For 3 days, they ran every test they could think of. The metal would not cut, would not burn, and would not even scratch. Their most advanced scanners could not penetrate its surface. On the 4th day, a young researcher named Park Jin made a discovery that would change everything. While examining what appeared to be decorative patterns on the metal surface, he noticed that some of the lines glowed faintly when touched. "Dr. Velthak," Park Jin called excitedly. "I think these markings are not decorations, they look like control panels." Velthak rushed over to see what Park Jin had found. The young researcher was right. The glowing lines formed complex patterns that looked like writing, but not like any language the Valthan had ever seen. "Be careful," Velthak warned. "We don't know what these controls might do." But Park Jin was young and curious. As he traced one of the glowing patterns with his finger, the line suddenly blazed with bright blue light. The light spread across the metal surface like water, racing away in all directions faster than they could follow. Deep beneath their feet, something began to wake up. Commander Lee Hyun felt consciousness return slowly, like rising from deep water. His body was cold and stiff. Machines beeped softly around him as warm air began to flow into his cryopod. The lid opened with a soft hiss, and Hyun sat up carefully. The command center of the UES Endurance was dark except for emergency lighting. Hyun had been asleep for what felt like minutes, but his internal chronometer told a different story. According to the ship's computer, he had been in cryosleep for over 4,000 years. "Status report," Hyun said to the empty room. His voice was rough from the long sleep. "Welcome back, Commander," replied a familiar voice. Lieutenant Choi Min, the ship's AI, spoke through hidden speakers. "I am pleased to report that all primary systems are functioning normally." "How long were we asleep, Choi Min?" 4,237 years, 6 months, and 14 days, Commander." Hyun stood slowly, his legs shaky from the long sleep. Around him, other cryopods began to open. His senior officers were waking up just as confused as he was. "That's impossible," said Captain Nam Ho as he climbed out of his pod. "We were only supposed to sleep for 50 years while the ship traveled to the new colony." "I'm afraid there were complications, Captain," Choi Min explained. "Our destination star went supernova before we arrived. I was forced to find an alternative location for our colony. This required additional travel time." More pods opened throughout the ship. Engineers, soldiers, scientists, and colonists began to wake up. 50,000 humans slowly returned to consciousness after their impossibly long sleep. Medical teams rushed to help those who needed assistance after such extended cryosleep. Choi Min, what is our current location? Hyun asked as he put on his uniform. We are currently buried 15 kilometers beneath the surface of a planet designated Kethvar in the Valtan Empire. I detected mining operations approaching our hull 3 days ago and initiated the awakening sequence. The Valtan Empire? Captain Nam-ho looked confused. I've never heard of them. According to data I have gathered from local communication networks, the Valtan are one of the dominant species in this region of space. They have controlled this sector for approximately 3,000 years. Hyun felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cryosleep. What happened to Earth? What happened to humanity? The AI was quiet for a long moment. Commander, I regret to inform you that according to all available records, Earth was destroyed. Approximately 3,500 years ago, when our sun went supernova, humanity is listed in all galactic databases as an extinct species. The command center fell silent. The news hit the awakening crew like a physical blow. Everything they had known, everyone they had left behind, was gone. They were alone in a galaxy that thought their entire species was dead. Sir, said Communications Officer Lee Sool, I'm detecting scanner beams from the surface. Someone up there knows we're here. Hyun gathered his thoughts quickly. As commander, his people needed him to be strong. Very well. We need information about this galaxy and these Valtan. Choi Min, can you access their databases without being detected? Already working on it, Commander. I have accessed their planetary networks and am downloading historical records. However, I must warn you that our presence has been detected. The mining operation on the surface triggered our automatic systems. On the surface, Velthak and his team watched in amazement as more lights began to appear across the metal surface. The patterns were beautiful and complex, like a city of light spreading beneath their feet. What have we done? Park Jin whispered. I think, Velthak said slowly, we have awakened something that was sleeping. The ground began to vibrate. The metal surface started to rise, pushing through tons of rock and soil as if it weighed nothing. The research team ran for their vehicles as the excavation site collapsed around them. From orbit, Valtan monitoring stations detected massive energy readings coming from the planet's surface. What had been a simple mining world suddenly blazed, with power signatures that their instruments could barely measure. Get me Admiral Ko Woo immediately, ordered the station commander. Tell him we have a situation that requires immediate military response. Back on the ship, Hyun stood in the main observation deck as the Endurance rose from its underground resting place. Through the transparent metal, he could see soil and rock falling away as they breached the surface. Above them, alien stars shone in unfamiliar patterns. Commander, Choi Min reported, I have completed my analysis of local databases. The information is disturbing. Explain. Humanity is not simply listed as extinct, sir. We are listed as a mythological species. The various alien races have stories about humans, but they treat us as legends, like monsters from ancient tales. What kind of stories? Stories of a species so violent and adaptable that they could conquer entire worlds with primitive technology. Stories of ships that could crack planets and warriors who never retreated. Most species tell these stories to frighten their children. Captain Nam-ho joined them at the observation windows. Are the stories true? Some of them, Hyun admitted. The war with the Scourge was real. We did fight enemies across multiple star systems, but we were never monsters. We were just trying to survive. The alien species don't see it that way, Commander. Choi Min continued. According to their histories, humanity voluntarily left the galaxy after becoming too powerful. They built their current civilization on the assumption that humans would never return. Well, said Hyun, looking out at the alien sky, they were wrong. The Endurance fully breached the surface, its massive bulk rising like a dark mountain from the excavation site. The ship was enormous, over 20 kilometers long and 5 kilometers wide. Its hull gleamed with a dark metal that seemed to bend light around it. Sir, reported Weapons Officer Choi Do, I'm detecting multiple ships approaching our position. They appear to be military vessels. Their intent? Unknown, but their weapons are powered and targeting us. Hyun considered his options. His ship was powerful enough to destroy any threat these aliens could present, but he hoped it wouldn't come to that. Humanity had slept for 4,000 years. They needed allies, not enemies. Open a communication channel to the approaching fleet, Hyun ordered. Channel open, sir. This is Commander Lee Hyun of the human vessel UES Endurance. We come in peace and request diplomatic contact with your government. We... Admiral Ko Woo sat in his command chair, staring at the emergency report on his screen. The words seemed impossible, but the evidence was undeniable. A human ship had emerged from the planet Kethvar, and it was the size of a small moon. Send this report to the Galactic Council immediately. Ko Woo ordered his communications officer. Priority 1 emergency transmission. Sir? The young officer replied nervously. Are you certain about the classification? Humans are considered mythological by most species. Ko Woo turned to look at the massive dark shape hanging in space near Kethvar. Look at that ship, Officer Tansu. Does that look mythological to you? The bridge crew followed their admiral's gaze. The human vessel dominated their view screen, its hull seeming to absorb light itself. No ship in the Valthan fleet was even 1/10 its size. No, sir, Tansu whispered. It looks very real. Across the galaxy, similar reports were flooding into government centers and military commands. Long-range sensors were detecting impossible energy signatures from dead systems where nothing should exist. Ancient monitoring stations that had been silent for thousands of years were suddenly broadcasting again. Dr. Yoon Hai received her orders while studying artifact fragments in her laboratory on the research station Nexus 7. As the galaxy's leading expert on human archaeology, she was the obvious choice to investigate the situation at Kethvar. Pack everything, she told her assistants. Every human artifact, every translation matrix, every piece of data we have. If the reports are true, we're about to meet the species we've spent our careers studying. Dr. Yoon Hai had dedicated her life to understanding humanity through the fragments they left behind. Broken weapons, pieces of hull metal, damaged computer cores found drifting in space. Each piece told part of the story of a species that had fought wars across multiple star systems before mysteriously vanishing. The stories about humans were told differently by every species, but certain facts appeared in all versions. Humans were adaptable beyond belief, able to fight and win against enemies with superior technology. They were builders who could turn dead worlds into gardens in decades. Most importantly, they were warriors who never gave up, no matter how hopeless the situation became. Dr. Yoon Hae called her assistant Bae Kyung. The transport is ready. Admiral Ko Woo is requesting your immediate departure. As her ship approached Kethvar, Dr. Yoon Hai studied every detail of the human vessel through her instruments. The hull material was unlike anything in known science. It seemed to be self-repairing, with microscopic systems constantly maintaining its surface. The energy readings showed power generation capabilities that exceeded anything in the current galaxy. It's beautiful, she whispered to herself. Terrifying, but beautiful. On the bridge of the Endurance, Commander Hyun was learning about the galaxy his people had awakened to. The reports from Choi Min painted a picture of a universe very different from the one humanity had left behind. The current galactic civilization is built around the concept of peaceful coexistence, Choi Min explained. Most major conflicts are resolved through negotiation and economic pressure rather than military action. That's good news, said Captain Nam Ho. Maybe we can find a place here without causing trouble. Unfortunately, Captain, our very existence is causing trouble. I am monitoring communications across multiple star systems. News of our return is spreading rapidly, and the reactions are not positive. Hyun pulled up the communication intercepts on his command screen. Even with translation software, the fear in the alien messages was clear. Words like ancient terror and deathbringers appeared frequently. They're afraid of us, Hyun said, sadly. After 4,000 years, they're still afraid. Perhaps with good reason, Commander, Choi Min replied. I have been analyzing historical records from the time of humanity's departure. The final human-alien conflicts were indeed devastating. Entire star systems were left uninhabitable. We were fighting the scourge, Captain Namho protested. Those weren't normal wars. We were trying to save the galaxy from extinction. The other species don't remember it that way, Captain. In their histories, humans are portrayed as conquerors who became too powerful for their own good. While the humans tried to understand their situation, Dr. Yunhei's research fleet arrived at Kethvar. She immediately requested permission to communicate with the human ship. Dr. Yunhei, Admiral Kowu's voice crackled over the communication system. You will observe only. Do not attempt direct contact without my authorization. Admiral, this is the greatest archaeological discovery in galactic history. We must establish communication. Doctor, that ship could destroy my entire fleet without effort. We proceed with extreme caution. Dr. Yunhei understood the Admiral's fear, but she also understood the opportunity. Everything she had spent her career trying to learn about humanity could be answered by simply talking to them. On the Endurance, Communications Officer Lee Sewell detected the incoming research vessels. Commander, we have multiple ships approaching. Their configuration suggests scientific rather than military purpose. Open a channel to the lead vessel, Hyun ordered. This is Commander Lee Hyun of the UES Endurance. We welcome your scientific mission and offer our cooperation in any research efforts. The response came from Dr. Yunhei herself. Commander Hyun, this is Dr. Yunhei of the Galactic Archaeological Institute. I have spent my career studying human artifacts and history. Your people have been extinct for thousands of years according to our records. How is it possible that you are here? Hyun found the alien scientists' direct approach refreshing after Admiral Kowu's threats. Dr. Yunhei, we have not been extinct. We left this galaxy voluntarily when our home star became unstable. We have been traveling in cryosleep, searching for a new home. The records show that Earth was destroyed when your sun went supernova. How did you escape? We launched several evacuation fleets before the disaster. The Endurance was one of many ships carrying human survivors to safety. This information sent shockwaves through Dr. Yunhei's research team. If there were multiple human ships, if humanity had actually survived their star's death, then everything they thought they knew about galactic history was wrong. Commander, Dr. Yunhei asked carefully, how many ships were in your evacuation fleet? Hyun consulted his records. The final count was 312 vessels of various classes, carrying approximately 50 million human colonists. The silence that followed was deafening. Dr. Yunhei's team stared at their instruments, trying to process the implications. 50 million humans spread across 300 ships. If even half of them had survived the journey, humanity was not extinct at all. They were a sleeping giant that could wake up at any time. Dr. Yunhei, came Admiral Kowu's urgent voice over the communication system. Report your findings immediately. Admiral, the situation is far more serious than we initially believed. The humans did not die out naturally. They evacuated their home system in a planned operation. According to Commander Hyun, there may be hundreds of human ships scattered throughout the galaxy. Admiral Kowu felt his confidence drain away. One human ship was already more than his fleet could handle. Hundreds of such vessels would make humanity the dominant military force in the galaxy overnight. Commander Hyun, Kowu transmitted. What are your intentions in this system? Admiral, we seek only peaceful coexistence. We need time to repair our ship and gather information about the current galactic situation. We have no territorial ambitions in your space. And the other human ships? What are their locations? Hyun paused before answering. He was beginning to understand that the alien species saw humanity as a threat, not as potential allies. Our ships were scattered across the galaxy for safety reasons. Each group was instructed to find suitable colony sites and establish independent settlements. This was not the answer Admiral Kowu wanted to hear. Independent human settlements meant that humanity could not be controlled by a single negotiation. Each ship would need to be dealt with separately, and none of the alien species had the military power to force compliance. The situation became even more complicated when Lieutenant Choi Do detected additional energy signatures on long-range sensors. "Commander," Choi Do reported, "I'm reading 3 distinct power sources consistent with human technology. They appear to be located in uninhabited star systems within 50 light-years of our position. Are they responding to our communications?" "Not yet, sir. The signals are very faint, as if the ships are just beginning to wake up." Commander Hyun realized that their emergence had triggered something in the other human vessels. After thousands of years of sleep, the scattered evacuation fleet was beginning to respond to each other's presence. Dr. Yoon Hai was monitoring the same sensor readings from her research ship. 3 more human vessels awakening meant that the situation was escalating beyond anyone's control. "Admiral Ko Woo," she transmitted, "we need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. This is no longer a local incident. We're looking at the return of humanity to galactic civilization. Doctor, the Council will never believe this report. Humans are considered myths by most species. Then we need to provide proof. Commander Hyun has agreed to share historical records and technical data. We can verify their claims through archaeological evidence." Counselor Song-mi walked through the marble halls of the Galactic Council building on Nexus Prime. The emergency session had been called with only 6 hours' notice, something that had not happened in over 200 years. Representatives from 47 different species were gathering in the Great Chamber, all because of one impossible report. Humans had returned. Song-mi had been elected to represent the Threx Confederation, a peaceful alliance of insect-like species that valued knowledge above all else. The Threx maintained the most complete historical archives in the galaxy, including detailed records of humanity's final years before their departure. Counselor Song-mi called Representative Park Dae of the Zilani Trade Union. "Is it true? Have humans really been found alive?" "The reports are being verified," Song-mi replied carefully. "But initial evidence suggests that at least one human vessel has been discovered in Velthan space." Park Dae's blue skin paled to a lighter shade. The Zilani were a peaceful species that had built their civilization around trade and negotiation. The idea of humanity's return terrified them. "One ship," Park Dae whispered. "According to the old stories, one human ship could conquer an entire star system." Song-mi said nothing, but she knew Park Dae was not exaggerating. The Threx archives contained detailed battle reports from the ancient wars. Human military doctrine was unlike anything seen before or since. They fought with a combination of advanced technology and pure determination that made them nearly unstoppable. The council chamber was a massive circular room with seating for hundreds of representatives. At the center stood a holographic display system that could show data from anywhere in the galaxy. Today it displayed a single image, the UES Endurance hanging in space above Kethvar. "Representatives," announced the session moderator. "We will now hear the initial report from Admiral Ko Woo of the Velthan Imperial Fleet." The Admiral's image appeared in the center of the chamber. Even through the hologram, his fear was obvious. "Honored Council members, what we have discovered defies all our understanding of galactic history. The vessel you see before you is approximately 20 kilometers in length and is constructed of materials unknown to current science." Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembly. Ship construction had plateaued centuries ago. No species had built vessels larger than 5 kilometers in over 1,000 years. Such massive ships were considered unnecessary and wasteful. The ship's occupants claimed to be human survivors from an evacuation fleet that left Earth over 4,000 years ago. They say they have been in cryosleep searching for a new home. Representative Kim Jun of the militaristic Corvan Empire stood to ask a question. "Admiral, what is the vessel's military capability?" Ko Woo hesitated before answering. "Unknown, but estimated to be extreme. Our scanners cannot penetrate their hull, and their energy output exceeds our measuring equipment. In my professional opinion, this single ship could defeat our entire sector fleet." The chamber erupted in alarmed voices. Species representatives began arguing among themselves, some demanding immediate military action while others called for diplomatic contact. "Order," Song-mi called, using her position as session chair to control the discussion. "We will hear all reports before making Any decisions? Dr. Yoon Hae's image replaced Admiral Ko Woo's in the holographic display. Council members, I have been studying human artifacts for over 20 years. The ship at Kethvar matches every prediction I have made about human technology. Its construction methods are thousands of years ahead of our current capabilities. Dr. Yoon Hae, interrupted Representative Jang Seo of the Ethimori Collective. In your professional opinion, are these truly humans from the ancient period? Yes, Representative. I have examined samples of their hull material and recorded conversations with their commander. There is no doubt these are genuine humans from the original Earth evacuation. The Ethimori representative's ancient features showed deep concern. The Ethimori were one of the oldest species in the galaxy, and their racial memory included direct contact with humanity during the final wars. Dr. Yoon Hae, Jang Seo continued, did the human commander indicate whether other ships from their fleet survived? Yes, Representative. Commander Hyun stated that the original evacuation included over 300 vessels carrying approximately 50 million human colonists. The chamber fell silent. 50 million humans spread across 300 ships. If even a fraction of them had survived the journey, humanity was no longer extinct. They were a major galactic power that had been sleeping for thousands of years. Song-mi accessed her private files, calling up the classified Threx archives on human military capabilities. The numbers were terrifying. During the Scourge Wars, a single human battle group had destroyed an entire enemy fleet in 18 minutes. Human ships could repair themselves, manufacture new weapons during battle, and adapt to enemy tactics faster than their opponents could respond. Representatives, Song-mi announced, I am accessing historical records for this discussion. What we are facing is not simply the return of an extinct species. We are facing the return of the most militarily capable species in galactic history. The main display showed battle footage from the ancient wars. Human ships moving through space like living things, their hulls changing shape to adapt to different combat situations. Enemy vessels exploding in brilliant flashes as human weapons found their targets. During the final conflict with the Scourge, Song-mi continued, humanity fought a war across 7 star systems simultaneously. They won decisively despite being outnumbered 100-1. Representative Kim Jun of the Corvan Empire stood, again. Counselor Song-mi, you speak as if humans are some kind of unstoppable force. They are just another species. Advanced technology can be countered with sufficient numbers. Song-mi turned to face the Corvan representative. Representative Kim Jun, I would like to share a specific historical example with you. The display showed a single human destroyer facing a Scourge battle fleet of over 200 ships. The human vessel was outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded. This engagement took place in the Kepler system, 4,100 years ago. The human ship was the UES Defiant, commanded by Captain Na Yu. She was ordered to delay the Scourge fleet while civilian transports evacuated the system. The battle footage began to play. The human ship moved like a dancer through the enemy formation, its weapons firing in perfect coordination. Enemy ships exploded one after another, but more kept coming. Captain Na Yu held her position for 6 hours against impossible odds. When her ship was finally destroyed, she had eliminated 137 enemy vessels. The civilian evacuation was successful. The chamber was quiet as representatives absorbed the implications. If humans could fight like this with individual ships, what could they accomplish with an entire fleet? That was over 4,000 years ago. Representative Kim Jun protested. Military technology has advanced significantly since then. Has it? Song-mi asked. Dr. Yoon Hae, how does human technology from 4,000 years ago compare to our current capabilities? Dr. Yoon Hae's image reappeared in the display. Based on my analysis of the Endurance, human technology appears to be several thousand years ahead of current galactic standards. Their hull material alone represents breakthroughs we have not achieved. Engineer Nam Soo, a civilian contractor, working on the space station, requested permission to speak. Song-mi recognized her immediately. Nam Soo was one of the few humans' descendants in the galaxy, her ancestors having been left behind when the main evacuation fleets departed. Council members, Namsu said nervously. I have been studying my ancestors' technical manuals for most of my life. According to their records, the ships like the Endurance were not even their most advanced vessels. They built them quickly for the evacuation using simplified designs. The implications hit the chamber like a shockwave. If the Endurance was a simplified design built in a hurry, what were the fully advanced human ships capable of? Counselor Song Mi asked Representative Parkday. What did the historical records say about human intentions? Were they conquerors or explorers? Song Mi consulted her files before answering. The records are complex. Humans were definitely expansionist, but they also showed remarkable restraint. During the height of their power, they could have conquered the entire galaxy. Instead, they chose to leave voluntarily. Why would they do that? Asked Representative Zhang Seo. According to Ethmori historical records, humanity realized they had become too powerful for the safety of other species. Their technology was advancing so rapidly that they feared they would accidentally destroy other civilizations simply by existing near them. This information sparked new discussions throughout the chamber. The idea that a species would voluntarily limit their own power for the benefit of others was almost unthinkable to most galactic civilizations. If that's true, said Representative Kim Jun, then perhaps humans can be reasoned with. Maybe they will choose to leave again if we ask them politely. Song Mi shook her head. I don't think that's an option, Representative. According to the reports, human ships are awakening across multiple star systems. This suggests a coordinated effort, not random chance. They are planning to stay. The debate continued for hours, as representatives struggled to understand the Fleet Admiral Ryu Han stood on the command bridge of the UES Indomitable, watching alien stars through the transparent metal viewports. His ship had awakened 3 days ago in the outer rim, emerging from the atmosphere of a gas giant, where it had hidden for over 4,000 years. Admiral, reported Captain O'Dall, his chief communications officer, we have established contact with 2 other vessels from the evacuation fleet, the Endurance under Commander Hyun and the Resilience, commanded by Captain Zhang Seo. Ryu Han nodded slowly. 3 supercarriers awakening simultaneously could not be coincidence. Their ship's AI systems were designed to respond to each other's activation signals across vast distances. Status of both vessels? The Endurance has made contact with local alien authorities. Initial diplomatic exchanges have been tense but peaceful. The Resilience is maintaining stealth protocols while gathering intelligence. And our situation? We remain undetected in the Kepler system. Local space traffic is minimal, but long-range sensors show increased military activity in nearby sectors. Ryu Han had commanded human fleets during the final wars against the Scourge. He understood military patterns and strategic thinking. The alien species were mobilizing their forces, which meant they viewed humanity's return as a threat. Admiral, called Lieutenant Quan Bin from the sensor station, I'm detecting additional activation signals from the outer galaxy. At least 9 more ships have come online in the past 12 hours. The scope of the awakening was becoming clear. After 4,000 years of sleep, the human evacuation fleet was responding to some kind of coordinated signal. Ships scattered across hundreds of light years were waking up at the same time. Sir, continued Quan Bin, the pattern suggests that all remaining evacuation vessels will be active within the next 2 weeks. Ryu Han considered the implications. The original evacuation fleet had consisted of over 300 ships carrying 50 million human colonists. If even half of them had survived the journey, humanity would represent the largest single military force in the galaxy. Captain O'Dall, what is the current political situation in local space? Complex, sir. We have intercepted communications from something called the Galactic Council. They appear to be debating how to respond to our presence. Some factions are calling for diplomatic contact, while others are demanding military action. Have they specifically targeted us for attack? Not yet, sir, but several alien fleets are moving toward areas where human ships have been detected. Their intentions are unclear. Ryu Han pulled up tactical displays showing the positions of known alien military forces. The formations were defensive rather than aggressive. suggesting that the aliens were preparing to contain human movements rather than launch an immediate attack. "Admiral," reported his intelligence officer, Captain Nam Do, "we have completed analysis of local military capabilities. The alien species appear to be approximately 1,000 years behind our technology level. Elaborate. Their weapons are primarily energy-based plasma systems. Their shields operate on basic deflector principles. Their ships are built for space superiority rather than planetary bombardment. In general, their military doctrine appears focused on limited conflicts rather than total warfare." Ryu Han found this information both encouraging and concerning. Limited military capabilities suggested that the aliens might be more reasonable in their approach to conflict resolution. But it also meant that they might not understand the true extent of human military power. "Captain Nam Do, in your assessment, could the current alien forces pose a threat to our ships?" "No, sir. A single one of our point defense systems could disable their largest battle fleets. However, their combined industrial capacity could pose a long-term threat if they were given time to mobilize fully." The strategic situation was becoming clearer. The aliens were afraid but not yet desperate. They had time to consider their options, which hopefully meant they would choose negotiation over violence. "Sir," interrupted Captain O'Dell, "we're receiving a transmission from Commander Hyun on the Endurance. Put him through." Commander Hyun's image appeared on the main display. Behind him, Ryu Han could see the busy command center of the Endurance. "Admiral Ryu Han, good to see you again. I'm sure you've been monitoring the situation here at Kethvar." "Indeed. How are the diplomatic efforts proceeding?" "Slowly. The aliens are divided between fear and curiosity. Some want to establish peaceful relations, while others view us as an existential threat. We've agreed to participate in formal diplomatic contact with their Galactic Council. What are your intentions regarding military cooperation?" "For now, we maintain independent command structures. But Admiral, I'm concerned about the scope of the awakening. If all our ships come online at once, the aliens may panic and make poor decisions." Ryu Han understood Hyun's concern. The sudden appearance of hundreds of advanced human warships would be seen as an invasion force by any reasonable military analyst. "Commander, what is your assessment of local military threats?" "Minimal in terms of actual capability, but significant in terms of political complications. The aliens remember humanity from the old wars, and not fondly. They've built their entire civilization around the assumption that we were extinct. Are you suggesting we should remain hidden?" "No, Admiral. I think that would be impossible at this point, but we need to be careful about how we reveal our true strength. Too much too fast could trigger a preemptive attack." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent report from Lieutenant Quan Bin. "Admiral, I'm detecting a large alien fleet approaching our position. 27 vessels, mixed configuration, weapons powered." Ryu Han immediately shifted into tactical mode. Classification of the approaching force: mixed fleet with ships from multiple species. Lead vessel appears to be Corvin in design. They are broadcasting standard challenge codes. "Captain O'Dell, open a communication channel." The main display showed a Corvin commander with the aggressive bearing typical of his species. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Lim Tae of the Corvin Defense Force. You are operating in restricted space. Identify yourself immediately." Ryu Han studied the alien commander for a moment before responding. The Corvin species had a reputation for military aggression, which made them potentially dangerous in this situation. "Captain Lim Tae, this is Fleet Admiral Ryu Han of the United Earth ship Indomitable. We are conducting peaceful operations in uninhabited space and pose no threat to your forces." The effect of his words on the alien commander was immediate. Captain Lim Tae's expression shifted from authority to shock, and then to fear. "Human vessel, you will power down your engines and prepare to be escorted to a designated area for processing." Ryu Han almost smiled at the absurdity of the demand. The alien captain was trying to arrest a ship that could destroy his entire fleet without effort. "Captain Lim Tae, we cannot comply with that request. However, we are willing to engage in diplomatic discussions through proper channels." "You will comply or face the consequences," Lim Tae replied, his voice rising with nervous aggression. Ryu. Han recognized the pattern. The alien commander was afraid but trying to project strength. Unfortunately, fear combined with military authority often led to poor decisions. Admiral, reported Weapons Officer Kim Wan, the alien fleet is assuming attack formation. Their weapons are charging to full power. Defensive measures only, Ryu Han ordered. I want no aggressive actions taken against the alien fleet. Sir, called Captain Nam Do from the intelligence station, I'm detecting additional human ships moving into this sector. The Resilience and 2 other vessels are approaching our position. The situation was escalating rapidly. Multiple human ships converging on one location would look like a coordinated military operation to any observer. Captain O'Dal, contact Captain Zhang Seo on the Resilience. Inform her that we have a potential conflict situation developing. Already on it, sir. Captain Zhang Seo reports that her ship was responding to our activation signal. She requests permission to provide support. Ryu Han considered his options. Multiple human ships would give him overwhelming tactical advantage, but it would also make the situation appear more threatening to the aliens. Grant permission but maintain defensive postures only. No ship is to take aggressive action without my direct order. On the Corvin flagship, Captain Lim Tae was receiving reports that made his situation increasingly desperate. Long-range sensors were detecting multiple large vessels approaching the human ship. Energy readings suggested that each vessel was larger and more powerful than anything in his fleet. Sir, reported his tactical officer, recommend immediate withdrawal. We are significantly outgunned, but Captain Lim Tae had spent his career building a reputation for aggressive action. Retreating from a single enemy ship would destroy his standing within the Corvin military hierarchy. All ships target the human vessel. Fire warning shots across their bow. Show them we mean business. It was exactly the wrong decision at the worst possible time. The Corvin fleet opened fire with plasma cannons, sending energy bolts across the Indomitable's flight path. The shots were intended as warnings, not as actual attacks, but the human ship's automated defense systems did not make that distinction. Point defense weapons activated instantly, tracking the incoming plasma bolts and responding with precise counterfire. 6 months after the Kethvar incident, Ambassador Han Bin walked through the corridors of the newly established human embassy on Nexus Prime. The building was a masterpiece of cooperative design, combining human engineering with alien aesthetics to create something that belonged to both cultures and neither. The past 6 months had been the most turbulent in galactic history since the Scourge Wars. What began as a simple mining accident had escalated into a crisis that nearly tore the galaxy apart. Now, as Han Bin prepared for another day of diplomatic negotiations, she reflected on how much had changed. Ambassador, called Dr. Xin Yu, her chief cultural advisor. The morning briefings are ready for your review. Dr. Xin Yu was one of the few humans who had spent her career studying alien civilizations. Her expertise had been invaluable in navigating the complex web of interspecies relations that governed galactic politics. What's the current status of integration protocols? Han Bin asked as they walked toward the main conference room. Mixed results. The Zelani and Threx confederations have fully accepted human participation in galactic commerce. The Valthan Empire is still hesitant, but cooperating. The Corvin Empire remains officially hostile, though they've stopped making military threats. Han Bin nodded. The Corvin reaction was understandable given that they had been the first to attack human ships. Captain Lim Tae's decision to fire on the Indomitable had cost him his career and nearly cost his species their independence. Any word on the outstanding territorial disputes? The Council has approved human colonization rights to 17 uninhabited star systems. 3 more systems are under review. The main sticking point remains industrial output limitations. This was the heart of the current negotiations. Human manufacturing capabilities were so advanced that a single human colony could outproduce entire alien industrial sectors. The galactic economy was struggling to adapt to the sudden availability of products that had been impossible to create just months earlier. Dr. Xin Yu, in your assessment, how long will it take for the galaxy to fully adjust to our presence? Conservative estimate, 20 to 30 years for economic integration. Cultural acceptance could take much longer. Some species may never be comfortable with human capabilities. Han Bin understood the challenge. When humans had left the galaxy, 4,000 years ago, they had been powerful but not overwhelmingly superior to other species. During their long sleep, alien technology had stagnated while human ships had continued to evolve through automated systems. The gap between human and alien capabilities was now so large that it challenged the fundamental assumptions of galactic civilization. How could species consider themselves equals when one side could accomplish in days what took others decades? Ambassador, interrupted Communications Officer No Sun. Priority message from Fleet Admiral Ryu Han. He requests a private conference regarding the military integration protocols. Han Bin had been expecting this call. The military situation remained the most sensitive aspect of human reintegration. Admiral Ryu Han commanded the human defensive fleet, which now included 12 awakened supercarriers and over 300 support vessels. Put him through to my private office. Admiral Ryu Han's image appeared on the holographic display in Han Bin's office. Behind him, she could see the command center of the Indomitable, now serving as headquarters for human military operations. Ambassador, we have a situation developing in the Outer Rim sectors. 3 species have petitioned for human protection against raiders from the disputed territories. This was a complication Han Bin had been dreading. Human military power was so overwhelming that other species naturally wanted to take advantage of it, but providing military protection would make humans the de facto rulers of those sectors. Admiral, what is your recommendation? From a strategic perspective, the request makes sense. The raiders are using outdated scourge technology that poses no threat to human ships but could devastate local populations. We could eliminate the threat in a matter of days. And the political implications? Complex. If we provide protection, we establish precedent for human military intervention in local conflicts. If we refuse, we appear callous to the suffering of innocent populations. Han Bin considered the options. Every decision humans made now would establish patterns for future interactions. The galaxy was watching to see whether humanity would use its power responsibly or become the conquerors that many species feared. Admiral, prepare a limited response. 1 ship, minimal force, focused on eliminating the raiders rather than establishing permanent presence. Understood, Ambassador. What about requests for human military advisors? Several species want to upgrade their defensive capabilities using human technology. This was an even more sensitive issue. Human technology in alien hands could shift the balance of power between species that had been stable for centuries. Decline all requests for direct technology transfer. We can provide defensive assistance, but we cannot arm one species against another. As their conversation ended, Han Bin reflected on the impossible balancing act that human diplomacy had become. They were too powerful to be ignored, too advanced to be equals, and too few to rule through force even if they wanted to. Dr. Xin Yu entered the office carrying a stack of cultural analysis reports. Ambassador, I've completed the study you requested on long-term integration prospects. Your conclusions? Fascinating results. The younger generation of aliens shows much less fear of humans than their elders. Species under 50 years old tend to view humans as allies rather than threats. The mythology and fear appear to be generational. This was encouraging news. If fear of humanity was based on ancient stories rather than actual experience, then time might solve the integration problem naturally. Any specific examples? The most interesting case is Engineer Nam Su from the Council technical staff. She's actually of human descent, part of a small community that remained in the galaxy when the main evacuation fleets departed. Her generation sees human return as reunion rather than invasion. Han Bin made a note to speak with Nam Su personally. Human descendants who had lived among aliens for thousands of years could provide valuable insights into successful integration. Dr. Xin Yu, have you identified any species that might never accept human presence? The Ethmori present the biggest challenge. Their racial memory includes direct experience with human military operations during the Scourge Wars. They remember humanity at its most destructive, and those memories are literally encoded in their genetic structure. Recommendations? Patience and gradual exposure. The Ethmori respect competence and honor. If we can demonstrate that modern humanity has learned restraint, they might eventually accept our presence. Their discussion was interrupted by an urgent communication from Counselor Song Mi. The Threx representative had become one of humanity's strongest advocates in the Galactic Council. Ambassador Han Bin, Song Mi's insectoid features showed excitement. I have remarkable news to share with you. What kind of news, Counselor? We have discovered the reason for humanity's coordinated awakening. Our archaeologists have been studying data from the human ships, and we found something extraordinary. Han Bin waited for the revelation. Your evacuation was not random. It was planned as a temporary withdrawal. Human ships were programmed to remain dormant until galactic civilization reached a specific level of development. The awakening was triggered because our species finally achieved the social and technological criteria that humanity established for safe coexistence. The implications hit Han Bin like a shockwave. Humanity's return was not an accident or a coincidence. It was the result of a carefully planned strategy that had been 4,000 years in the making. Counselor Song Mi, are you saying that humans deliberately waited for the right moment to return? Exactly. Your ancestors realized that immediate coexistence was impossible due to the power gap between species, so they temporarily removed themselves from the galaxy and waited for others to catch up. Han Bin felt a mixture of pride and sadness. Pride in humanity's wisdom and restraint. Sadness that such extreme measures had been necessary. How has the Council reacted to this information? Mixed responses. Some species are impressed by humanity's long-term thinking and voluntary restraint. Others are concerned that humans have been manipulating galactic development from the beginning. And, your personal opinion? I believe it demonstrates that humans are capable of genuine cooperation rather than domination. Your species chose to limit its own power for the benefit of others. That suggests moral development as advanced as your technology. After the communication ended, Han Bin sat quietly in her office, processing the revelation. Humanity's return was not the beginning of a new age. It was the completion of a plan that had begun before any current alien civilization existed. Captain No Sun entered with the evening security briefing. Ambassador, all human colonies report normal operations. No incidents with alien populations. Integration proceeds according to schedule. Any requests for expanded human presence? Actually, yes. The Zelani have requested human assistance with a terraforming project in the Centauri sector. They're offering full partnership rather than simply requesting aid. This was the kind of relationship Han Bin hoped to build throughout the galaxy. True partnership based on mutua